Hi, and welcome to another edition of Seniors Today. I'm your host, Tom Bartee, and our guest today is Tedra Richardson-Godfrey, who is the Executive Director at a local business called Vista Prado. What is it again?
Vista Prado.
Prado. Welcome.
Thank you.
I always make one minor mistake at least on the introduction.
All right.
So thanks for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So could you tell us a little bit about what Vista Prado is all about?
Yeah, we are an all memory care community in the good location of Vallejo, right facing behind Richardson Park, close to Sutter Medical Center and Kaiser Hospital as well. What we do is we provide care for residents that have Alzheimer's and dementia.
So for those of our audience that don't know the difference, what would be a quick definition of the difference between those two?
So Alzheimer's is basically the disease. Dementia is it's just under an umbrella. So it's basically residents that have memory impairment. They can't remember, past or sometimes present.
So is Alzheimer's more aggressive and it ends up having other complications?
Well, Alzheimer's is the disease, and then dementia, and then they have Parkinson's disease. So there's different diseases under the umbrella of Alzheimer's.
Oh, okay.
So Alzheimer's is the top; it's the disease, but then there's different types of disease under
Right.
Alzheimer's.
So dementia wouldn't be the same as just normal aging, or what they would used to call senility, or?
No, it is a disease.
Oh, okay.
So basically, it's a brain disease that pretty much takes over the brain. The disease takes over the brain where they lose memory, they have memory impairment, they start forgetting to eat, forgetting to dress themselves, forgetting who their loved ones are.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you deal with people after they've already contracted these diseases?
Correct. Our community is you have to have a diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's to live in our community.
All right. So it could be that a lot of these people are otherwise physically healthy and ambulatory?
Oh, yes. We have residents that dress themselves, feed themselves. They just forget, who their family are, or they forget that they have already eaten, and things like that.
Yeah. I remember my wife's grandma, when she was in her 70s. We met her. We hadn't seen her in a couple of years, and we met her at my wife's aunt's house, and she didn't recognize my wife or the kids or anything. And she was still, in today's standards, she was still pretty young. And she ended up living to 97, like another 20 years. And half of that time, she basically was bedridden. But
it's really a very, very sad disease.
yeah.
Most residents, when families can no longer take care of their loved ones, they just want to be, a daughter or husband again. So they basically have them to come and live at our community so that they can be their loved one again and not their caregiver. It gets kind of, I don't want to say frustrating, but families just don't understand the disease. And because they remember their parent or wife as one person, they can't believe the change. So they're most families are in denial.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to deal with that. So how many people are in your facility?
So our capacity is 66. Right now we have 45 residents.
Oh, so you have room to grow.
Oh, yes.
And
I've been there about a year and a half. When I first got there, we had 23 residents.
wow. So is that part of outreach program that you have, or a change in the community, or what do you think?
So we do a lot of outreach,
Uh-huh.
of course, Chamber of Commerce and different things like that. Every Wednesday, my community relations director and myself go out and go to senior citizen communities and just, go around and tell about Vista Prado. A lot of folks don't know about Vista Prado. It's a new ownership group took over it. So there's new owners, and I think it was assisted living community prior to that, and now it's all memory care. So just getting folks to know that there is an all memory care community in Vallejo.
Yeah, I am a part of the baby boom. And I'm not at the beginning, I'm not at the end. Sort of in the lower part of the middle of the baby boom, and I'm part of the senior tsunami. And so they say 10,000 people a day are turning 65, which is pretty phenomenal when you think about it. And there's a major shift in the population. In some communities, over a third of the population are senior citizens.
Right.
And so you would think that, you know, the kinds of things that you do are just going to keep getting bigger and bigger until the demographic shift has passed. And the interesting thing of that is that it seems like because there's become so many people in those categories that they've begun to specialize a little bit, where previously they might just go to the senior home no
Right.
matter what. But now you've got assisted living, you've got memory care, you've got nursing home, you know.
And independent living as well.
Yeah.
So nowadays it's just basically age in place. So you can be in assisted living, and then once you need help, stay in your same apartment and go to independent living. And then it gets to be a little bit different when you start to get dementia or Alzheimer's, because you have to be somewhere where you're not wandering, a lot more hands-on. So yeah, now folks are definitely having like their own memory care communities and not mixing the three together.
So you sort of have to keep an eye on people or have security within the facility to make sure they don't just walk off?
Correct. Our community actually has egress doors, so it's 15 seconds. You press the door, alarm goes off. And then
within 50 seconds?
15 seconds.
Oh, 15?
And then after 15 seconds, the door will open.
Does that work on employees trying to sneak out?
Well, employees have to punch a code
I'm just kidding.
to get out.
Yeah, I'll tell you a quick story. When I used to work at General Mills, and we had this one guy who was, he had a job that he kind of like self-supervised, and we found out that he was working with his coworkers that would cover for him. He would come to work and punch out, sneak out the back of the facility, and then come back 6 hours later. And so I'm just,
We have
I know it's
cameras.
unrelated to
We
your,
have cameras all around the building, so they can't really sneak out.
Oh.
I can actually see them from home.
Okay, well, that's good. Well, you know, if we had had that technology back then, I'm sure that wouldn't happen either. But anyway, I had to share that with you. So 45 people, you have room for about 20 more.
Correct.
And is it a separate license you have to have memory care as opposed to some of the other categories?
So we are under the RCFE, so we don't have to have anything else but the RCFE license, and then of course the administrator has to have that.
What is an RCFE?
Resident Facility Care Administrator.
Resident Care Facility Administrator?
Yes.
Okay. And so is that something that you have to go to school for, or?
It's about 80 hours.
Uh-huh.
It used to be 40, now it's about 80 hours, so about 2 weeks to get the certificate, and then you take a test. And if you pass the test, then you get your license.
So is everybody are all the employees in your facility under that same licensing requirement?
Yeah, only the administrator has to have the license,
Only
which is
the
myself.
administrator?
Correct.
So do you have, what are some of the professions that you have working in your facility?
So I have 2 LVNs, vocational nurses. We have med techs, caregivers, business office manager, maintenance director, resident service director, which is overall the care. We have a resident care director, and then we have a dining service director as well.
So you have a chef on duty?
We do, 7 days a week, yes.
Oh boy, that's making me hungry, just thinking about it.
Yes.
So do you have any competition in the community?
Around Vallejo?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. We have 3 communities that are actually memory care, and then we have 2 that are building, I think 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, I think a friend of mine's building one of them. Sorry about that.
It's okay. We'll be full. We'll be full.
Well, but you offer better services, right?
We do.
Yeah.
One of our main services is activities. We actually, from 9 in the morning until about 5 o'clock dinner, we are doing activities all day long from exercise, Tai Chi, balloon volleyball, bingo. So we really keep the residents doing something all day long. And that's just to keep their brains going and moving and not having them sitting in a room all day. So that's something that when we tour, when other folks come and tour the building, they are just amazed about how our activity program is designed.
Oh, that's cool. Do you have any music?
We do. We have music every Thursday. Different folks come in, and on Sundays we have a pianoist, and then we have a R&B guy that comes in, and you got to look at our Facebook. It's awesome. We just did a luau in the parking lot, so we brought all the residents to the parking lot with families, over 120 folks. We had the pig, the roasted pig. It was awesome. It was really, really, I didn't think we were going to pull it off, but we did.
Well, I heard about it and I couldn't make it, and I was disappointed I couldn't make it.
It was a lot of food.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Well, I'm sure you'll do it again.
Oh yeah, we actually do a lot for holidays. Holidays, we're always doing something. Labor Day, Memorial Day, we're just always catering to the residents and families. People are always like, how did you get that many people in that building? I'm like, oh, we make it happen. So if we have to open up the deck, and so the good thing about us is our owners even come and participate, which a lot of times you don't see that, but they come, sit down, and eat with their families as well. So we're really all like family.
Do they own more than one facility?
They do not.
So they just own that one
Correct.
place. So you get more of a personal touch
Right.
than you might in an operation that might be more corporate oriented.
Yes.
Oh, that's good to know. So basically 3 square meals a day.
They have 3, well, we kind of have anytime dining because some folks don't wake up till 10. You know, they're kind of late sleepers, so they still can come out at 10 and get breakfast if they want, or they can wait, or they can get a sandwich. So we do have 3 meals, but they also can eat anytime they're hungry.
So does Alzheimer's, dementia, whatever, does that affect your sleeping patterns?
Yes. So a lot of our residents actually are up all night. They are just walking. They just walk the floors all day and all night. A lot of them go to the door, look at it, touch it, and walk away from it. But they do that all day long. So it does definitely affect their sleeping habits.
Wow. So when they go after all your activities and they've eaten in the evening, do they watch TV or
So what we
read a
do
book?
is we have movies. So 6 o'clock is movie time. We pop some popcorn and they sit and watch movies. A lot of them, like I said, are just walking. They just walk the halls.
Yeah.
Until 11, 12, 1.
Wow.
And they may sit for a little while and then they're back up
Or
walking.
maybe they hang out with their friends or something.
Yeah, some of them. A lot of the residents, about 7:30, 8 are getting ready for bed after the movie. But then there's a lot of them that just stay on the couches and watch TV and get up and walk and walk. And so they can't walk anymore. That's just, a lot of our residents don't even sit to eat. We have to cook them finger foods because they don't want to sit. They're just so used to, they can't sit. So they just eat and walk.
How do you deal with somebody that forgets to eat?
So what we do is we have a checklist, of course. So basically residents that don't want to come out their room, they do get room service. We check them off, make sure that they're eating. Most of our residents have very, very good appetite. So if they're on hospice, it may be different, but even our hospice residents right now are still eating.
Well, that's good. Like I said before, you're making me hungry. I don't know why. But so I know, talking to my brother who has memory loss, but I'm not sure he falls into any of the categories we talked about. He tells me that he can't read anymore because he'll read half a page and then he won't remember what he just read, and then he goes back to the top, and so he could sit there and read half a page for 5 hours.
Correct.
And so it's just frustrating, so he doesn't even do it.
Right.
But he still does crosswords and Sudoku and stuff like that. And that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah. I have residents that do that as well. They no longer can read anymore, but they do crossword puzzles and different things like that. Like I said, some of them don't remember if they ate, so they eat and then they're hungry again. So that's actually why they're in our community, so that we can help them and control them. And I never think enough food is enough. So if they're lashing out, we give them food, they're perfectly fine. So sometimes they lash out because they're still hungry.
Well, then forgetting things, forgetting your medication could be a problem too.
So we actually pass all the meds to every resident. So if a resident has meds, we actually assist them with medications. So no resident can have medications in their rooms, or it's in a med room. We have a med room with the MAR, and we pass meds to all the residents. If they're 3 times a day, 2 times a day, we actually assist them with medications.
So there's lots of charts and lots of tracking and lots of that kind of thing.
Absolutely, yes.
Do you provide any kind of basic healthcare services like blood pressure or
So yes, so actually
diabetes?
once a month we do of vitals and weights, just to be able to keep track of residents' weights. If they're losing a certain amount of weight or gaining too much weight, of course, then we fax the doctor and let the doctor know that, you know, this is what's going on with this resident. We are in communication with doctors a lot because of med changes, or we see that they're acting a certain way, or we may think that they have a UTI, so we do contact doctors. We contact doctors by fax or phone frequently.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody has a family member and they think that they want to consider memory care, how would they get a hold of you?
So they could go to our website, Facebook, give us a call. We're all over the place. And then we actually, most of the time, 95% of the time, we get back to them in a couple hours. A lot of folks are like 24 hours. We don't wait. So if they email, they can email us. We actually, when you go to our Vista Prado page, it instantly gives me, or the CRD, which is the Community Relations Director, the inquiry. And then if we're at home or whatever, it goes to our phones and we return their calls.
So what is your website?
VistaPrado.com.
Okay, that should be pretty easy to remember.
Yes.
Another question. Let's say that I have a family member and I think it's time for them to go into memory care. What do I have to have in order to make the application and to have them evaluated?
So there's actually no application. The process is this. You come, hey Tedra, you know, I think my dad, he's been diagnosed with memory impairment. What's my next step? Most family members, either the resident lives alone or they're living with their loved one, their husband, their wife, their kids. So you come and tour the community. We actually give you the paperwork, which is the physician's report, and you have to take that to the doctor, and a med list that's signed by the doctor, and then a post or DNR, just if they do not resuscitate, things like that. And once you have that, then we give you our RA agreement with all our licensing forms, and I go over that, and then you fill it out, and when you're ready to move in, you pick a room, and voila.
As any progressive disease moves forward, the condition of the patient changes. And so you probably have people that graduate, if you will, from
Yes.
memory care into another form of care.
So our community is end of life. So what happens is once they start declining, they can go on hospice and they can pass away in our community. So they don't have to keep moving them from place to place, like assisted living, independent living, and then they get memory impairment. So ours is just the last stop.
Okay.
There's not too many residents since I've been at Vista Prado, I've never said no to a resident or that we no longer could provide the care.
Mm-hmm.
We do have, residents are combative, but we try to either redirect them or then we go with the physicians and try to get some meds that are going to control their combativeness.
Do you find that there's still, even though they have memory issues, that there's still this yearning for additional knowledge or personal growth?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have residents that, like I said, I brought in that they were like, oh, he's really, really combative. Then we found out he likes golf. So we hooked him up with chair golf. He's just the best guy ever now.
Chair golf?
Chair golf, sitting down, hitting the little ball in the hole. So it's really just about finding what they did in their past and what they love to do. Another resident, he was a singer, so we play music for him. So it's really about that, what did they do in their past, and we bring it to them now in the present, and it usually works for us.
I remember a show I did a long time ago where we did chair yoga.
We do that as well.
You
We
do?
do Tai Chi. We do exercise with weights. We do it all. I mean, just because they have the disease does not mean that it stops.
Mm-hmm.
So we want them to continue to live their life.
Do you offer a weight room or something like
We
that?
do not have a weight room. We actually have in our dining, our living area, it's an activity room, and we'll put all the chairs, and that's actually where they do the exercise. We've actually renovated the whole entire community. The only thing left is the kitchen, and we're renovating that next month, October 15th, excuse me.
Okay, so you gave me a rundown of the staff. How many total staff do you have?
46.
You have 46 staff members?
Yes, because I have caregivers, 4 to 5 caregivers morning, then I have a PM shift, and then I have a knock shift as well.
So you have as many caregivers as you have people.
Yes.
That's phenomenal.
We have to take care of them.
Yeah.
Our ratio is maybe 1 to 8, so 1 caregiver to 8 residents.
So I know that you're not a corporate entity, but do you guys think about the future and what the future will bring to your industry and how that will impact your business?
I've worked for many communities, so I do believe that this is, because of the disease, and there's no cure for it. So, and it's not only seniors. There's actually younger folks as well that are getting this disease, and you don't have to be 60 or 70 or 80. Some residents are in their 50s, and like as you explained to me, your brother was pretty young as well.
Yeah.
When he started being kind of forgetful.
Well, it was like overnight.
Right.
He was normal, and then he had no memory the next day. It was weird.
It happens pretty rapidly to seniors as well.
Yeah. Well, I guess I have a couple good years left in me.
I forget where I park my car sometime at Safeway. So sometimes I'm like, is that coming for me? But
yeah, I know everybody they have the moments where you go, God, where are my car keys? Or
yes.
God, where'd I put my glasses? I can't find them anywhere. But that's normal kind of stuff, right?
Oh yes. The only thing I can say is I love what I do. Every day, a lot of folks are like, oh, I got to go to work. I actually say I get to go to work. I get to see residents every day, and they're just like, oh my God, good morning. And, they may say good morning, like one resident every day. She says, you're Italian. And she kisses me on both cheeks, and she says, what sign are you? Every day.
Oh, really?
Every day. And I'll say, I usually say, what sign are you? And she's like, how did you know I was going to say that? Every morning she says the same exact thing. And I love it. I love, a lot of families are like, my hat goes out to you, but you have to have a passion for it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, how did you get into the business?
So this is really funny. I actually started off as a registered dental assistant. And my grandfather was blind and had some caregivers, and he had a fractured hip, and so later on we find out that he was abused. And after that, I wanted to give back. I wanted to give back to, try to make sure that I could take care of seniors, and I just love doing it. So that's how I got in the industry. I started off as a caregiver back in 2009 for Merrill Gardens, and I've had every single position except for maintenance and chef in this industry.
Well, it's never too late.
I can cook, but I'm going to pass on the maintenance, and I'm going to pass on the chef part.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into the industry. And honestly, I'm a nurse as well. I'm an LVN. I love it. I actually love taking care of seniors.
What does LVN stand for?
Licensed Vocational Nurse.
Okay. What's the difference between that and
An RN.
Yeah.
RN is a registered nurse. So the only really difference is that they can kind of like give injections through IVs, and LVNs cannot. So that's one of the main things that we can't do.
Okay.
But I'm never going to work in a hospital anyways. I'm going to stay in the senior industry.
So you don't have an RN at your facility?
We do not.
You
So
have
we're not a
2,
medical facility.
3 LVNs
We have 2.
plus you.
No, I'm the second.
You are one of them.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Well, that's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think, you know, I know that someday another one of my family members is going to have to be, we're going to have to make that decision. And so, unfortunately, none of them live in Vallejo. It'll be out of state or somewhere else, but it's pretty amazing. Where did you go to school for your LVN?
I went to Prime Career College right here in Vallejo.
It's in Vallejo?
Yes. Well, actually, it's closed down now. This is back in 2009. But it was a private school, and that's where I went. So what I did was back then I worked for Merrill Gardens on Locust, and I went in at 4 in the morning, got off at 2 o'clock, and 3 o'clock to 11 o'clock for 15 months. I did the nursing program.
Wow, that's dedication.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yes. And I was the assisted living director back then. So it was pretty...
Merrill Gardens is no longer Merrill Gardens, and it's at least 2 more names after that, I think.
Well, here at Vallejo, but they still have...
other places?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Are you born and raised Vallejoan?
In Vallejo?
Yeah.
No, I am not. I was born in New Orleans. Lived in California till I was about 14, and then I moved to Washington because my grandfather was blind, and so we relocated
Washington
there.
State?
Yes.
Okay, so you've been around a little bit.
And then I'm back here in California.
Well, actually, I have somebody staying with me right now from New Orleans.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and all you ever hear about is how that's the best place in the world.
Well, I was really, really young when we left, so I don't know, but all my family were born there. So my mom, my uncles, everyone, my aunt, my grandmother, everyone was born there.
Yeah, I think a part of my family was from the Creole country, and I'm always tempted to go back and trace that down and see if they like hot sauce and stuff like that. Because I can't stand it.
You don't like hot sauce?
No, I have. My mom was 100% Swedish, and so they eat bland stuff. My grandmother is from north of the Arctic Circle.
Okay.
She was a Laplander, and the joke is that she mated with a reindeer, and that's how we all came about. But anyway, with that, we actually have run out of time. Okay. So appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and it's a great story, and you know, it's a part of our future, thinking about how the demography is moving the average age higher all the time, and so the service you provide is a very important service.
Thank you. That's all the time we have for today. Our show airs at 6 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays on Comcast 27, AT&T UVerse 99, and streaming live video at vcat.tv. Come see us again next time.